Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi. My brothers and my beautiful sisters here in New York, across the nation and around the world. Jazakumullah khairan for joining us on ITV. It's such a pleasure to be here with you today, and I'm really humbled that you're giving us a little bit of your time while you watch ITV to talk about our rights as Muslims, to talk about the importance of defending that right. My name is Afaf Nasher. I'm with CAIR New York. That's CAIRNY. It stands for the Council on American Islamic Relations New York. We're a civil rights organization that works here in defense of Muslims locally. And we hit many issues. And those are some of the issues that we're hitting here on these episodes with ITV as you tune in and learn what it actually means to defend our right to be Muslims according to the examples that I provide you, real life examples here in New York. So, Bismillah, and again, Ramadan Mubarak to each of you. Today what we're going to talk about is this nasty word, terrorist. And the reason we're going to talk about this is certainly that is a word that has been thrown a lot in terms of the unfortunate, untrue, and absolutely deplorable slander that Muslims face every single day. And of course, that became heightened during 9/11. Not just during 9/11, but it became super common. It became a phenomenon that just soared and became even acceptable within society to think of Muslims as terrorists. Now, think prior to 9/11. The truth is that we've always had Hollywood convey Muslims in a very bad light. The only time you saw Muslims was when somebody was shouting Allahu Akbar and then doing something very evil, killing people. And we were always portrayed as evil people who use our faith in the worst of ways. Nobody ever showed the truth about Islam, the beauty of Islam. Nobody ever said that Islam teaches that if you save one person, it saves all of humanity. It's only until recently that we really became more involved in creating our own narrative about what it means to be Muslim, which is really important since we're such a tiny minority in this country. For those of you that live across the world, we know that this nasty word terrorist has impacted not just here, but Muslims all around the world. Because in truth, even politics is tainted by this word. National security is always created around this word as if by virtue of being Muslim, it is synonymous. It means the same thing as being a terrorist, which of course we know is a flat out deceptive lie that some people push because they have a reason to push this. Let's not be fools. Let's not think that people who push national security agendas are doing so completely out of ignorance. There are many people who know what Islam truly is, but they pour in millions of dollars because they don't want Muslims to proliferate here in the United States. They don't want us to be empowered. They don't want us to be in government. They don't want us to be successful and wealthy, and they don't want the spread of Islam. We know that the Quran and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taught us that people can plan, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is of course the best of all planners, and His plan will always come to be, inshallah. We know that, we have that belief strong in our hearts. Having said that, we have to do what we can as well, because it's not fair that somebody be called a terrorist or somebody be scrutinized or profiled as such just because of their faith. I have imams who told me that growing up under the shadow of 9/11, they were completely, almost daily inundated with this idea of being a terrorist. And that really scars many people, including youth. For many people who may not be as strong or, simply don't have a support system in place, it makes them want to hide their faith, especially when you're young. What child wants to be called a terrorist in school? What child wants to have to face every single day that kind of bullying that happens, right? I remember, for example, one imam who is now grown and mashallah, he's really held on to his faith and now he's a source of light for so many in the community, who told me he would constantly be told by his peers, when are you going to bring a bomb into school? this idea of being called a terrorist, this slander, would be so familiar to him that it almost started to roll off of his back. But my brothers and sisters, think about that for a moment. Should this kind of slander, should this kind of accusation be so familiar to a young person that it becomes normalized? It is not normal, and we shouldn't allow it to become normal. We must defend against what this concept means, and we can do so proactively and reactively. Proactively, my brothers and sisters, is being engaged with media, going and doing educational workshops for the community, and being outwardly Muslim, but also making sure that we're ambassadors of Islam, so that when we are outwardly Muslims, people get a positive notion of what Islam and Muslims are. Those are all proactive measures we can all take on. And then reactively means that if, God forbid, you are called a terrorist, if, God forbid, the FBI or law enforcement do come knocking on your door for no justifiable reason, if, God forbid, you're in the supermarket and somebody makes some sort of remark and calls you a terrorist, if your child is being taunted in school, then please have the strength to stand up against it. Don't shrug it off. Don't say, you know what, we just have to live with it. That's just the way things are. It doesn't need to be the way things are, but it requires inward strength from us first and foremost. And here in the United States and in New York, we are protected by the laws and we have every right to assert ourselves. But if we don't assert ourselves, that kind of accusation will continue to proliferate, not just in movies, but in our daily lives. How would you like it if your child came home and told you that their teacher called them a terrorist in class? Do you know that that happened? It happened recently to a young girl in high school. The teacher said it was a joke, but it isn't a joke. My brothers and sisters, let's have the audacity to call out truth. Let's be people who advocate for Islam in the best of ways, proactively and reactively, inshallah. And always remember, CARE New York is here to help you and to defend you. Inshallah, you are all well protected and you never face any obstacle. Jazakumullah khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.